Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast with Real Talk with Amber. Today, I'm really excited to have Regena Rosa Celeste with us. Say hey, Regena.
Hi, how is everyone? How are you, Amber?
I'm good, thank you. So we're going to try to make this a quick one. So we're going to kind of, you know, punch through these to make sure that people get all of the information that they need. This is Real Talk with Amber, so I want people to feel, free to express everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything, because it's in those, deeper, darker moments that we experience pain, that we also experience growth, although it might not feel like it at the time. So I just want to encourage you to be, real and authentic and share your experience fully with us. So Regena is joining us from the yoga studio where she teaches, I believe. Is that right?
I am, yeah, at the Banyan House, which is in Dania Beach, Florida.
Okay, great. So the reason I've asked Regena to join us today, she has been through really a whirlwind of emotions and events in her life over the last few months. And I wanted her to share with people, especially going into the holidays. I know we're very holiday themed right now, but that's because we experience a lot of pain through the holidays. And so it can bring up a lot of joy, and it can also bring up a lot of pain. So I just wanted to invite Regena to share with us, which, by the way, Regena, how did you get your name?
Great question, Amber, and thank you so much for having me on the show today and sharing with your audience, with your community, your tribe, my experience and my story, because it definitely is, I'm learning, impacting a lot of people, and so I'm happy to share it.
Excellent.
And the name, actually, it's interesting. So my full name is Regena Rosa Ozeransky. My middle name is named after my grandmother, who I never got to meet. And it was about maybe, I don't know, somewhere between 8 and 10 years ago, I was in a meditation in Miami with one of my teachers, and I had a 7-minute meditation with my higher self. And the name Celeste showed up. And I remember after the meditation, it was very short. It was only 7 minutes, but I remember being like, who's that? Like, right? Like, what is that about? But there was this sense of calm and real peace and serenity that laid over me when I felt the name. And so it took me a very long time. It took me it's been, like I said, 8 or 10 years since that time to adopt the name and to actually own it. And
awesome. Well, good for you for really owning that. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I remember even asking, well, how will I know when it's time? And I just kept getting the message, you'll know. And so now I know.
Now you know.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Regena, I know that you personally have struggled with depression, and I wanted to just ask you, when was the first time that you really knew that you felt and put the two together, like, the way that I'm feeling, this is not how I'm supposed to feel, this is off? And when did you kind of put that associated label with it?
Really good question. So when I was little, I had what I later realized was anger issues.
Okay.
And I was a relatively happy kid. I had a very good life growing up. I'm very fortunate. I didn't have a lot of, things per se. I remember hearing the word no a lot because my parents couldn't afford things, and my parents are Russian immigrants. So they did the very best they could, and they did an amazing job. And there was many times, like I said, that I didn't get things that I thought I wanted, but later I found out I actually did get everything I needed, which was awesome, and more. So I was very, very fortunate. But I found out through high school and then kind of my early 20s, I felt like there was this underlining anger that I had, and I couldn't quite figure out what it was. So I realized that there was a lot of times that I would push it down and repress it. And it was the first episode when I knew something was wrong, was about 7 years ago, 6 or 7 years ago. And that's when I knew something was off. And then I didn't really do a lot about it. I just ignored it, actually. And through amazing miracles, it went away, and then it came back again this last year, and it's been an incredible journey.
Okay, so if I remember correctly, this was about the time when you moved. Our audience should know Regena in the past has kind of moved between Montana and South Florida, depending on season. And I don't know if that's something that will continue or not. We can get into that later if we have time. But it was at the moment, the last time that you made that shift from Montana to South Florida, that you started to experience that, correct?
It is, yeah. And I was really lucky when I moved to Montana. It was kind of it wasn't an accident, because I don't believe in accidents, but it was an amazing experience. And there was, I don't know if you're familiar with the Eat, Pray, Love
Yeah.
book.
Yep.
So I felt like that was my Eat, Pray, Love phase,
Okay.
where I moved to Montana kind of on a whim, and I ended up falling in love with it there. And in order for me to rationalize living there, I didn't want to be away from my family all year. And it was rather cold in the winter months in Montana. It's pretty freezing. I think right now it's like 5 degrees or 10 degrees, something
Yeah.
wild like that. So I found, okay, cool. So yeah, in Montana, it's like 5 or 10 degrees right now, freezing. And so I found this, I was really fortunate where I was able to do what's called snowbirding. And I found a way to come back here in the wintertime and be with my family, and then live there the rest of the year. So it was pretty awesome. And I was really happy. It took me a little while. It took me about a year, because I went there with someone and we broke up, and I was in a lot of pain and a lot of healing the first year after he and I broke up. And it was amazing and wonderful. But the following 4 years, I loved it, and I was really, really happy. And didn't know it, but I was still healing. And I ended up living in an ashram, which was an amazing experience, and brought up a lot of challenges for me when I left. And so I came back to Florida, which was obviously where I came from. And I kind of went back to the root of all of the trauma, so to speak, and came back not just with the trauma, back to the place where the trauma started,
Yeah.
but it was now compounded with having lived in this place of what I felt was like a blanket of safety, perceived safety.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of things that I experienced on the time at the ashram, and things that I had learned. And there was a lot of inconsistencies, and a lot of things that needed to come up and out and kind of to the surface. And
Okay.
so all that happened. And then there was a chain of crazy circumstances. My mom got sick, my dad got sick, and I was once again really angry at life. And I was angry at, I guess you could say, God and the universe. And for a moment, I was in a place of victimhood where I kept saying, why is this happening? Why me? When am I going to get healthy again? When is my life going to turn back to normal?
Mm-hmm.
And little did I know that was all part of the journey. It was all part of the experience.
Okay. Awesome. So how did depression show up for you? What did that look like?
So for me, it was isolation.
Mm.
I'm a pretty social person. I love my privacy, and I am pretty good at connecting with people. Like, I can talk to a stranger, and and we could potentially be friends within 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I never had a problem meeting people. I never had a problem socializing. But when I was going through those depressions, depressive episodes, as I call them, I knew something was wrong, because I didn't want to be around anybody. And I was just like a hermit. Like, I didn't want to speak to my friends. I literally would go to work and come home. And then I used to love networking. I still love networking. And it came to a point where I really just wanted to be alone. And then when I thought that I wanted to be with people, and then I would go out and be with people, then I would want to be alone again. So it was like this weird kind of dichotomy where I wasn't happy,
Yeah.
period. Like, put
Yeah.
me in a room of 20 people, I'd be upset. Bring me home, and I want to be with people because I thought that would make me feel better. So I was really uncomfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
And I didn't talk about it the first time, so nobody knew what was going on. And then the second time, this last year, I promised myself that I was going to do whatever it took, because it got really bad, really, really bad. And I didn't want to take medication. I was really stubborn. And I hired a coach, which was kind of what helped get me across the threshold. And the coach was amazing. And she's become a really dear friend now. And I'm a coach.
Yeah. And who was that coach? And just, I'm glad you said that, because that's an important statement. Just because you may be a life coach, that does not mean you have all of your shit together. I know that that's really blunt, but your coaches are people. And if you're a coach and you're watching, it's okay to hire a coach. It's a really good thing to hire a coach. And if you believe firmly in the idea of coaching, then you know that you really do need one. So thank you for bringing that up. Who was the coach that you hired?
She's awesome. Her name is Michal, and she's a friend here in South Florida, and she's amazing. And she was, one of the people among many. I call them earth angels. I started to reach out to different friends and soul sisters, soul brothers, when I knew it was safe to do so. And she was one of the first ones that I really told. And then another friend of mine, Shannon Gronich. And there's so many. I mean, there's so many I could name, but Nicole was the one who kind of got me over that first curve. And the reason was because A, I knew that I needed to do something, and B, I got to a place where I realized I couldn't do it on my own anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what you said. Like, the thing that was hurting me the most was this idea that I had that I needed to figure it out by myself, and that because I'm a coach and I'm helping other people, I should somehow be able to get through it. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Like, one of the things that I kept telling myself, and I knew I needed to change my thinking, which is where Nicole came in, and then many others. And you were part of that. I remember writing you many times and being like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this.
Yeah.
And surrounding myself with community. And, when I think about like a dentist, right? Like, a dentist doesn't do dental work on himself or herself. Right. Like, yeah. You can't do surgery on yourself. A doctor doesn't do surgery.
They sometimes get cavities, right? So that's important for people to know, is that just because, I guess the other side of this is that just because you needed a coach doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you. You're living a human experience, and this is part of what comes along with it. This is your, if you will, cross to bear, and you've handled it with grace. And I'm so glad that you tackled it, because you have so many gifts to share with the world. And I just want to talk a little bit about, those deep, dark thoughts, that oftentimes come along with depression. So can you talk a little bit about like how those, and if those evolved in you, and when was the moment that you were like, oh, okay, it's time?
Yeah, and I call them the dark and stormy, right? Because it's kind of, there's a lot of shame around the thought of not being perfect. Yeah. And the idea that I'm broken, or that there's something wrong with me, and all these different things that were crossing my mind. And I remember just recently, so this is like the third podcast I think I've done this month, and the amazing thing that showed up for me was when I started to hear people that I really respected, mm-hmm. and saw literally on a pedestal. And I remember there was one or two of these people, and I heard their story and how they were going through this stuff. And I was like, wait a second, this is someone who's like an icon. This is someone that, people look up to. And this is like a, like a celebrity basically. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, like, this is stuff that we all need to talk about. We need to be more comfortable talking about. And, there was a lot of shame for me, because people saw me, and still do, as a very positive person, a very happy person, which I am, and I'm human. Yeah. And I do, like everybody else, I have thoughts that don't serve me. And one of those thoughts was repetitive, and that was that I wanted to end my life. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't that I wanted to end it because I wanted to end it, it was because I wanted the suffering to stop.
Yes, for
I
sure.
wanted the pain to go away. And I didn't know how to make that happen. So this idea, this thought that I could actually take control of my life also bled into I can control how I take my own life. And so I started kind of down that path, and it became louder and more resonant every day. And it was like a series of several months where I was thinking about this every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started scratching my head, like, I can't live like this. Like, I remember going to the gas station, and I've shared this a couple times. It's very odd, but I went to the gas station and I couldn't put gas in my car without my mind telling me. I remember it was like the course of a couple weeks, and it happened more than once. I think it was like 2 or 3 times where my mind was telling me, you're not good at anything. You can't even put gas in your car properly.
Wow.
And the third time it happened, I was like, I remember looking up and being like, who is that? What is that? Because I was like, how do you even put gas in the car properly? Like, you can't mess it up, right? You either put the nozzle in the car, or you don't. Like, that's the only way to put gas in, you know? And I started actually laughing what you're doing, right? I started laughing because I was like, what the F, right? WTF, like, what's going on? And I remember in that moment being like, this is absurd. Like, this is ridiculous. Whatever is causing this thought, is causing this cycle, is trying to dictate my life, and I cannot logically live my life from this space. And so it was almost like it was definitely a gift, but it was more than a gift. It was like having a conversation with a friend that was like, what are you talking about? That's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
And when I was able to take the shame out of the conversation and just be like, oh, it was just a thought, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it not only made it lighter, it lifted this heaviness of shame and guilt, and you know, because there's so much guilt, right? Like, all of a sudden here I have this thought of like, well, what are my parents going to say? What is my family going to say? Like, my dad is, you know, literally, like, my dad was, you know, dealing with like a brain tumor.
Mm.
And here I was, like, upset because I couldn't put gas in the car.
Right.
And so it was like this crazy mind shift where it was like the gift of having my dad sick was that it was a gift. And I remember saying so many times when I came back from Montana that I wanted a better relationship, stronger relationship with my father. And the universe always provides in miraculous, amazing, sometimes very twisted ways.
Right.
Twisted, I don't say that in a bad way. It's not a straight line.
Yeah. It's not at all what you expected.
Exactly. So I was very fortunate to have those blessings, but it was very scary because I would have those thoughts, and I actually thought many times that something was wrong with me for having those thoughts. And there's nothing wrong with the thought. What is, quote unquote, I don't want to use the word wrong, but what's the concern, that if someone is having those thoughts, the concern needs to be, what are you doing about it?
Right.
And for me, it was a SOS. It was a red light, like a blinking light. Like, I need to do something about this, because if I'm having this thought over and over and over again, I'm in pain, and I'm not able to get like myself back into like alignment. Literally, like when we get our cars realigned, it's to get us back on the straight and narrow.
Yeah.
And so I hired a coach, which was not, you know, it wasn't free. It cost money. It was expensive, but it was worth every dime. And she was an amazing, amazing coach. And then I slowly started talking more about it. And I was able to speak with my friends. I was able to talk to other coaches. I'm very fortunate. I'm surrounded by a lot of amazing, amazing people. And a lot of my friends are coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And I was afraid to talk about it because I was embarrassed. And, you know, she helped me see there's nothing to be embarrassed about. And she went through it herself. Like, hers wasn't as heavy as mine, but you know, she had shared with me an experience about something that happened, and I was like, wow, like, there's another person that, you know, understands. And so I would find, I started speaking more about it, and I started seeing that other people were having it, and to the point where I started hearing teens having it, and there's this theory, or it's not a theory, but I guess the word is the concept. It's called suicidal ideation.
Mm-hmm.
And my interpretation, my understanding of it is when someone identifies themselves as having suicidal thoughts. And I started learning that there was more and more people having this. And I think it's an energetic collective thought. I don't think it's one person standing there and saying, okay, I want to take my own life. I think it's, we're also resonating as a community, as a society at a higher vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So we feel other people's thoughts.
Right.
So yes, I might have had those thoughts, but they weren't just my thoughts. They might have been my neighbor's thoughts. They might have been my friend's thoughts. They might have been my parents' thoughts. They might have been my, you know, stranger across the road's thoughts. I don't know. But whatever it is, I realized that this is a bigger problem, a bigger epidemic. And I started hearing of stories of teens having these thoughts. And I thought, okay, now that I'm healthier, now that I'm in a better space and my life is amazing, for many, many reasons, I was able to start talking about it to the point where now I talk about it on a regular basis. Because if we hide from it, it's like a monster under the bed.
Right.
Right? Like if there's really a monster under the bed, you got to turn the lights on and find the monster.
Right.
And most likely the monster is not even there. And if the monster is there, it's probably not a monster. It's probably like this big.
Yeah.
So we make it a monster. So this big theory that, you know, we can't talk about depression because, oh my gosh, it's taboo and all this, like, yes,
Right.
like bullshit. I'm calling bluff. Like,
Yeah.
because that's what has the control over us. It's not the depression. It's not the suicide thought. It's the stigma and the fear around talking about it is what makes it what it is.
Yeah. So we're about to come up on a really big season. And I just want, you know, from someone who has suffered with depression, I want to get your ideas and feedback, and maybe even call on some of your coaching wisdom for people who are in that place right now. How are some ways, because you celebrate Hanukkah, I don't know, do you celebrate Christmas as well?
Yeah, we like all of it.
All the holidays.
We milk them all. Yeah. It's really, for us, it's all about celebration.
Good.
So yeah,
So going into that season, can you maybe shed some light on some ways that people can make it through? I'm not saying pull yourself up by the bootstraps, because I know it doesn't work that way. But what are some maybe ideas that will help people make it through what otherwise would be a very hard time for them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for asking. So number one, thank you, Amber, for doing this, because this is the biggest thing that we can do is talk about it, right? Is not hide from it, but talk about it. And one of the things that I've learned that always helps me is when I'm going through a process where I feel like I need to isolate or I need to go inward. I really ask myself, is it that I'm going inward to reflect, or is it that I want to be left alone because I don't want to feel? And that's really the work, is feeling, right? Is where the work starts. And that's not so easy sometimes when we're going through something and it's mucky and it's dark and it's heavy. The last thing you want to do is feel anything.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you need to do. So that's one thing, is I encourage people to really do the work. And if you don't know what that means, talk to someone, right? Hire a coach, hire a friend, join a gym, right? For me, exercise was a really big thing. I forced myself to exercise, even if it was just a 20-minute walk every day. I would commit to walking or doing some type of movement every day, just like I brush my teeth.
Yeah.
So that was really important for me, was exercise, moving my body. And then you're also moving the energy is what you're doing. So you're not, you know, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling heavy and depressed, you need to move your body, which is going to move your energy, even if it's just temporarily.
Right.
You might feel like shit, pardon my French, 10 minutes later, but get up and move, even if it means laying in bed and moving. The other thing that I found that was really helpful was sharing with other people. If there's something that you like to do, and especially like with the holidays, like gift wrapping. I love gift wrapping. because it takes me out of myself and it gives me an opportunity to contribute and help someone else. You could dog walk for a neighbor, or you could spend time with a mature, elder, right? Somebody that maybe doesn't have family in the area and needs to talk to somebody. And I guarantee you, they have wisdom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I love animals. And so for me, animals was really comforting. So I would encourage animal time, being around nature. The water is really, really healing. If you have a beach near you or even a lake,
Yep.
really, really powerful. River, because rivers flow and there's movement. So I would definitely say exercise, nature, sharing, and my favorite, which is dance.
Mine too. I love
Yeah.
dance. Yeah.
And I know that it's not the easiest when you're not feeling good, but for
Yeah.
anybody that might be watching, I'm a very music moves me. So I can hear a song on the radio and I could be feeling like total, like not good, like the,
Yeah.
worst day ever. Music will get me up and moving. So finding music around you and just shaking your hips, moving your legs, moving your body, that's really, really important. And it gives you exercise and it's fun.
Right. And if I can speak to the music as well, I think that oftentimes, I know personally, whenever you're feeling blue or dark or down, you tend to gravitate towards music that might make you feel even worse. And I just want to kind of put a warning out there that music does have a definite energy associated with it. And if you are feeling particularly blue or down, my warning is just like, stay away from that type of music. What you're needing most likely is the complete opposite. So something that, what is it that you would go to, to make you happier? I'm not saying music is going to cure you, but all of these are just kind of tips and tricks that are going to help you just get through each moment, right? So gravitate towards that music that makes you feel the opposite of the way that you're feeling right now.
Exactly. That's huge.
Yeah. And a couple of other things that I just wanted to talk about real quickly before we end our time together is that Regena is a real estate, what do you call,
Professional.
professional?
Probably the best way to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy. Yeah.
And she has a really awesome practice in real estate, but she also is starting down a path of becoming a soul coach. So if you can just briefly tell us what that is and how people might, reach out to you if it's something that they're interested in doing themselves.
Absolutely.
With you.
Yeah. With me. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. So soul work is exactly that, right? Like it sounds woo woo and it sounds, sci-fi and all that, but it's exactly what it is, which is working with your soul. And I found this amazing gift that I got through the depression and through my journey with depression. And, I see my depression as a very sacred present that came to me. And the visual I just got was literally a Tiffany box, right? It's a beautiful box. It's beautiful ribbon. And I get to open it. And every time that I think about how blessed I am in my life and the experiences that make me who I am, I get to now look back at the times that things weren't sweet and things weren't pleasant.
Right.
And how just like a diamond starts as cold, right? A lotus flower doesn't start up as a flower. It's in the mud and it's got to come through and blossom. A butterfly, same thing. It's a caterpillar and it goes through this really violent process to become a stunning butterfly. So if someone's going through something, finding out what is your soul's mission? Why are you here? Right? Because the truth is, I think for me, that's what depression was all about, was me not feeling aligned with my purpose.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what my purpose was. Even when I knew what it was, the depression came back stronger to let me know, nope, there's more.
Right.
And so now I have my hands up and I surrender. I might have it again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I have no idea what's in store. I just know that if I continue being a servant and I can serve from a place of highest good and love, the universe is always going to bless me and keep me in abundance. abundance of light and love and prosperity and friends and community. And for me, soul language work is that. It's working with someone's soul and helping them to align with their life's mission and their life's work. So, I do offer sessions, and I do, or soon will be. At the moment, I'm still studying, but I do through yoga therapy and also yoga instruction and Reiki and some other modalities. I'm able to help people align closer to their life's mission. And then now I'm bringing in the soul language work to help facilitate that at an even deeper level.
And how, once you are fully, certified in soul coaching, how would someone reach out to you if they wanted to work with you?
Excellent question. Thank you. So there is a few ways. The best way is for those that are watching, most of us have cell phones. So everyone can grab their cell phone. And if you text the word yoga to the phone number 64600, it's 5 letters. Again, you text the word yoga to the number 64600, and you'll get access to my mobile website. And you'll learn about me, my story, where I teach, how to reach me. All my social media links are there. I also have a website called Internal Peace Now. And that's peace spelled P-E-A-C-E. So internalpeacenow.com. And then you can text the word yoga to 64600. And, no matter who you work with, no matter what you do, if somebody's watching and they're experiencing some painful times, I really encourage you to just reach out to someone you trust. It can be somebody from your community, it could be a friend, it could be your family. Sometimes it's hard for family because they love you and they don't know how to help. It's really important to speak to people, and especially during the holidays, it's such a delicate time. And so it's a wonderful, prosperous, and fun time, but holidays do bring up a lot of stress because of the comparison. And
absolutely,
if nothing stays from anything that I shared, and thank you so much again, Amber, for the opportunity.
Yeah.
If I can say 2 things, which is 1, this too shall pass. That's a mantra that I've said over and over and over and over and over again, which is this too shall pass. And that just means this is a sticky spot in your life. This does not mean it's it's permanent. It's temporary. And if you want it to pass, it will. And then also, this is happening for you, not to you. And the moment that I was able to switch from why is this happening to me and replace to with for, why is this happening for me, I was able to see the gift.
Right.
And there's so many tools.
Advice, yeah.
Yeah, it's as far as way of tools, they're endless. Ho'oponopono is an amazing Hawaiian prayer that's helped me a lot. I still do it every day.
Can you share that with people who might not have heard it? The first time I heard it, I was like, what are they talking about? And maybe just why it's important to you.
Yeah, so it's very woo. And when I say woo, I mean woo, spiritual.
Very spiritual.
Very spiritual. So it's as I say that as I'm at the yoga studio.
Yeah.
So it's a Hawaiian prayer, and it's 4 phases, very, very simple. And it doesn't matter what order you say them in, as long as you say them. You don't even have to verbally say them. You could feel them, think them, and feel them, and it works too. And it's, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, and thank you. And so you say these 4 phrases. You could either say all 4, or you could say one of them. You could say, I love you, 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 I love you. You could say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Please forgive me, please forgive me, please forgive me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Or you could mix and match. It's kind of cool. It's like, it's like a recipe. There's a million different things you could do with the ingredients. The whole moral of it, and I'll save for time factor the story behind it, but the power that it has is to transform the relationship that we have with the suffering. So there's different keywords and different things you could say to emphasize it, but the moral of it is just saying those words and feeling it will change the vibration that a person feels. And I guarantee it doesn't matter what you're feeling, you're going to feel different.
Yes.
So it's kind of like the reference that I have is like like sweeping a room.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just because you swept yesterday doesn't mean that you're not going to have to sweep again tomorrow.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Or brushing your teeth. Like, you know, I say it thousands of times a day when I'm going through something. And I even yesterday, I was writing it. I had a whole paper of, I love you, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me. Like, because we forget, right? And
Yeah.
it's so easy not to do that it's important to do.
Absolutely. Well, the last thing, thank you for sharing that. But the last thing I want to say is, man, Regena has been through it, and she did reach out, you know, through that process, and I'm so grateful that she did. And what landed her, or not what landed her, but she did land on the other side, even if it's a temporary, like, respite, a breather, if you will, from those thoughts and those feelings. She's done the work, and what has um, what has resulted, I guess, is that she has landed in a magical relationship with someone that she is going to be marrying soon, and this all happened very I just keep using the word magically. I think that the truth is that you did the work, and you made yourself come to a point where you were ready to receive what God had for you. And timing is everything. And you listened and you did the work. And I'm so happy for you, because I can literally see the joy beaming off of you. I saw you, you know, when you were struggling, and I saw the pain, and now I see the joy that has come on the other side of that. And I'm not saying that, you know, if you do the work, your perfect partner is going to somehow manifest, but it could. And I just want to provide people a little bit of hope. And I think that you're just a living example of that. So thank you so much for coming and sharing on Real Talk with Amber. I just can't thank you enough for your time and for your openness.
Thank you, Amber. And I can't wait to celebrate together. And
Yes.
yeah, for anyone that's listening or watching, you know, the work continues, right? Like, I still have breakdowns. You know, I had one this weekend.
Yeah.
Like, talking about being real, like the work is life. And it doesn't mean that life's going to be perfect. In fact, it's never perfect. And anybody that says their life is perfect is giving you a piece of,
they're feeding
you know,
crap.
Yeah, they're feeding you crap, because it's not perfect. But what makes it juicy and flavorful is the fact that we can rise above that. Like, we get to choose to be happy regardless of it being perfect or not. And the minute
Absolutely.
that we're able to know it's not perfect, it gives so much freedom.
Yes.
Like, I know life's not perfect, and I wish sometimes when I'm in my, you know, kind of like limitation, I think, yeah, I want it to be perfect. But the truth is it wouldn't be fun if it was perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd be bored out of our minds. You know what I mean? So just, I love the opportunities to share the stories, and I'm so excited to, you know, to celebrate. And I'm so grateful to you, because you were part of the journey with me. And I know that there's no accident. There's a reason that I'm on this other side, to share with people what's possible. And miracles are possible, and
Yes.
they are available to any and all of those who are willing to show up for themselves.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what that means, but you feel what that means, and you want to feel what that means, then reach out, because there's help available. And I'm honored, delighted to help anyone that I come across that would like to help, because I know everything's possible and things can change.
Absolutely.
I'm
Well,
living
thank
proof.
you again. And thank you all for joining and listening and being a part of this. You eventually will become a community. I know that this is a very new podcast, but I know that a lot of people need to hear this real talk. So that's why I started Real Talk with Amber. Thank you, Regena. Thank all of you, and we'll see you next time.